and I don't know his source for this, according to Robert Crick, Robert E. Lee's traveling desk has an order in it that all he has to do is sign and make O'Neill a general. But Lee won't sign it as a result of O'Neill's poor performance. But you know, Dave Martin is one of those guys who wrote The First Day, who's enamored by O'Neill, and he thinks O'Neill does a really good job in the town of Gettysburg later the same day, and he points out this quote where it's one of O'Neill's brigade writing it, or no, it might be a guy from Dole's brigade who's writing it, that he sees O'Neill at the edge of town yelling at Rhodes, saying, "Come on, we need to attack that hill! Let's get our people together, let's attack!" And so he's got O'Neill like trying to attack Cemetery Hill, but everyone else balking and not attacking. And he's always, every time I see Dave Martin, you know, O'Neill was better than that. He was, you know, so, and you know, honestly, if we're going to be placing blame, I don't think Rhodes does a very good job on the first day either. But you know, there, as Crick says in this article that he wrote about it, there's a failure of Confederate leadership on the first day of the battle, no matter how you slice it. Okay. So we mentioned that the initial attack on Baxter's brigade will be Iverson and O'Neill. And regardless if Iverson attacks first and then O'Neill hits secondly, O'Neill only sends in 3 regiments and they're repulsed, and Iverson's brigade is annihilated. Baxter's brigade moves to the top of the ridge. They're only there for a few minutes. We have problems when we look at some of the accounts, like the accounts of the 11th Pennsylvania, the 83rd New York, which is a New York State militia, and the 12th are not as good. We do know the 97th and the 88th definitely charge out into the fields, and according to the accounts, the 12th goes with them to capture prisoners, and several hundred prisoners are taken. This is a map that I had one of our guys, Dave Weaver, make, a diagram, just for a seminar we gave, which shows the position I believe that the units made the attack in. Now, just showing where the modern avenues are. I also think that they're probably all farther to the south. You put them up near the crossroads. So they're definitely much farther, because we know the 97th is going to capture the flag of the 20th North Carolina in the attack. So, let's see. Of course, it is Alfred Iverson's brigade we're talking about, and this is from the previous program I had. Here is an illustration that Dale Gowan did of the initial attack of Iverson against Baxter's brigade. Specifically, these are members of the 97th New York, and this guy with his sword in the middle is Colonel Wheelock of the 97th, and I guess you could say I was the historical consultant for this view, or maybe Wayne Mons would tell you he was the historical consultant. But we helped initially with the Lutheran Seminary Museum, and they have this real big on the wall. And we did think that it would be really neat, since we didn't have to worry about people buying this. You know, every time they make a print, they want to have a Confederate flag or Stonewall Jackson or the 20th Maine in it. So we wanted them to do something weird off the wall, like the 97th New York firing to Iverson's brigade on Oak Ridge. We thought that would be kind of cool. So we asked for that to be done. And of course, Charles Wheelock, the colonel of the 97th New York, from like Boonville, New York. I forget, he's like in his 60s. And Colonel Wheelock, he will survive the fight, but during the retreat off of Oak Ridge, he's captured. And I'm sure you know the story. He's captured, he runs in the basement of the Sheeds house, and he's surrounded by the Southerners, and they come in and demand the surrender of his sword. It's a presentation sword given to him by the ladies of Boonville, New York, and he refuses to surrender it and tells them they're going to have to take it off of his dead body out of his cold, dead hands. And so the Confederates are willing to oblige, but Carrie Sheeds' father, Elias Sheeds, steps in and asked them not to kill him in front of the family. And meanwhile, Carey runs over, grabs his sword, hides it in the woodpile. He is captured. He escapes at Monterey Pass during a retreat, and on like July 8th, returns to the Sheets' house and regains his sword. If you ever were on the Gettysburg Railroad, they gave a tourist. They used to have a tourist railroad that run out of the town of Gettysburg and up along Oak Ridge. And there was a conductor who told you the history of the battle as you rode by. He always said that Colonel Wheelock came back and married Carey Sheets. Of course, you know, he's married, he's in the 60s. And he always, when he told the story, he always pointed to the wrong house, too. I always got a big kick out of it. But my son liked riding on the train. He just walked in. Lieutenant Colonel Spofford. Now, he's a very handsome man, don't you think? Colonel Spofford. There's a great account of Spofford. Let's see. I'm sure I have it here. Here it is. The boys of the 97th from behind the wall poured volley after volley into the gray ranks, and the 12th Massachusetts on their right threw a deadly enfilading fire into their flank. Apparently the 12th wheeled out and fired down the line into the 5th and the 20th North Carolina. The Confederates' rush slowed down. The boys in gray halted, threw themselves on their stomachs in a gully. The white flags of surrender waved above them. Lieutenant Colonel Spofford mounted a horse, rode to the left of the 97th on foot in the rear. Spofford, sensing the situation, cried, "Boys of the 97th, let's go for them and capture them." The regiment, to a man, yelling and cheering, jumped over the wall, supported by Pennsylvanians and a few Massachusetts volunteers. Company C was the first to reach the Confederates, and Sergeant Sylvester Riley grabbed the colors of the 20th North Carolina and later handed them to Ebenezer Harrington of Alder Creek, wherever that is in New York. So there's a great account in this rare book about the boys of the Adirondack Mountains in the Civil War, about Spofford leading the charge. They captured the flag of the 20th North Carolina. Apparently there's an account in the Lieutenant Grant of the 88th writes an account that Spofford and a captain in the 97th are holding the flag and taunting the Southerners that are still in the field after they came back from the charge. And Spofford pulls out a sword and slices the flag in half. And at that moment, the captain is killed by, a Confederate firing into them, and Wheelock is very angry with them for doing this, or Henry Baxter, one of those guys, yells at them. Now, later, half of the flag will be recaptured, probably when Spofford's captured in the unfinished railroad cut, as the men are retreating. And in the 1913 reunion, 50 years afterwards, which was in the field of Pickett's charge, a guy walks into the camp of the North Carolinians and asks if anybody from the 20th North Carolina is there, and a guy says, "I was with the 20th at Gettysburg," and this guy from Chicago pulls out the other half of the flag and gives it back. So there's all this really neat story dealing with this flag that was captured by these guys in Iverson's Pit. Here's the dedication ceremony of the 97th New York, if you ever wanted to see that. I think at the dedication ceremony, they mentioned that the stone wall in front of the monument was actually 16 yards east of where it stood at that time. They actually mentioned that they were behind that wall, but that wall that's there now is not the same wall, or something like that. Or maybe they mentioned, because at that time there was no wall, it wasn't rebuilt yet. So they mentioned that the wall was a certain amount of feet from their monument. You have to read that. Here's a nice illustration of the charge of the 88th Pennsylvania. And they were one of the 3 units that were definitely in the charge. And again, you know, I wish I was going to be using for this that Dave would have pushed all these units down a little bit. He's got them in the right order, but I need the 88th to charge in the 23rd. This is from the history of the 88. Oh. I have to read one of my favorite accounts to put up with it. This is called A Musket Butt Argument. According to a book called Deeds of Valor, Iverson's brigade of North Carolinians had attacked Baxter's brigade of the 1st Corps and been repulsed. We got the order to charge a retreating enemy, and we struck the 23rd North Carolina and captured nearly an entire regiment. Captain Joseph H. Richards of my company, 88, singled out the color bearer of the 23rd and had a hand-to-hand fight with him. The Confederate pluckily held on to the colors and only gave them up when I reasoned with him with the butt of my musket. That's Captain or Sergeant at that time, Edward Gilligan of the 88th Pennsylvania Volunteers. So see, here's Gilligan reasoning with the Confederate soldier with his musket. Good stuff. Now you may know that one of the early accounts of the 88th Pennsylvania insists that they captured 2 flags at Gettysburg. And they say they capture a flag of an Alabama unit. And they even give the name of the Alabama unit, like the 16th Alabama, that's like not a Gettysburg. And people have taken that and changed it into the 26th North Carolina, or 26th Alabama, and they say that it was captured when they were on the Mummersburg Road.